Conversation is going round. People talking about the girls come to town. Fresh as a summer breeze, she'll take you by surprise.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Freshwaves. I'm your host, Brad Masson. Our technical producer today is the one and only Jason Rumball. And joining us in the studio for this wrap-up half hour of our organ donation awareness series is Anand. Welcome to the studio and welcome to Fresh, our new studio on Skype.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Jason. Always a pleasure.
You're welcome.
We were really happy when you reached out to us after hearing one of our previous shows on organ donation that you are involved in a group in Stouffville. Tell us about the group.
Yeah, so the group is started by an individual named Eric Ripp, who is a hockey player. He's a goalie, which makes him a unique character to begin with.
Eric is a regular on Freshwaves and joins us once a year. He was here on air at the beginning, well, not here, but on air at the beginning of April to start off our series. He's quite a guy.
He is terrific. I've known him for some time playing hockey, but I only recently became aware that he is a double lung transplant recipient.
Yes.
So hearing his story really inspired me and a few others to help him with his quest to raise awareness for organ donation in Ontario. And so we have set up an advocacy group to raise awareness for organ donation and to help people sign up and just to give some information to those who need it about organ donation.
That's fabulous. It's a really great initiative. And we actually met with a group of people earlier this year before the COVID-19 pandemic, Jason and I, to talk about what Stouffville could do for organ donation awareness as well. So I think I've got a few members who would be happy to join your group.
Oh, that would be terrific. We have had a few events, and it kind of started with a bit of a hockey theme, but we're hoping to expand that. So at the start of the men's league, we set up a little booth, and we know a lot of the players, and they're happy to come by. We double check their health cards. Most people don't. Most people think that it's on the driver's license or a separate organ donation card. That has changed to health card. So on the back of a person's health card, if you look, it'll say donor or not, and then you'll know that if you're a donor.
Okay, that's good to know. We were speaking with Ronnie Gavsey from the Trillium Gift of Life Network.
Foundation, yep.
No, not the foundation, the Gift of Life Network. They're two different organizations, so we have just come to know. And Ronnie was telling us that there are currently 6 people in Whitchurch, Stouffville, waiting for organs.
I heard that recently as well, and I'm wondering, Jason, are you one of those 6 people?
I think so. I must be.
Yes, you are, Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is very close to home, which I think was surprising to many of the people that we spoke to. And Stouffville being the community that it is, people were very receptive to our message and immediately checked their health card, and in many cases went online right then and there, and in under 2 minutes register to donate their organs. So as I've come to expect from Stouffville, community spirit is alive and well, and we're willing to do whatever we can to help out our fellow community members.
It's a wonderful thing. And it increases when you have people like you and Eric and Jason who really do advocate for organ transplant, organ and tissue, by the way, because tissue we have come to realize is a crucial part of the process as well, and something that people don't think about but can be easily donated when you donate your organs.
Correct.
So, Anand, how do people get a hold of you if they'd like to have more information about your group and joining your group?
Yeah, we are kind of early stages, so we are trying to get a Facebook page set up and a few other social media posts. What we typically try to do is make sure people are aware to go to the Trillium Gift of Life sort of website and to register through that. Beadonor.ca is the website address. Our plan was to be at events where we feel people are receptive to this idea, and just to encourage them to register or to think about registering. We started with registration during some sporting events. We actually held a bit of a golf tournament in association with another sporting event where we just raise awareness. Our goal is simply to raise awareness. We do not ask for any funding or any financial assistance whatsoever, because we feel it's not needed. We just want to raise awareness. There are statistics on the number of people who think they're organ donors who actually are not, and we want to get to those people and just encourage them to re-register. And we also feel that there are a lot of not just community leaders, but family leaders. We get a lot of jokes that, well, maybe people really wouldn't want to use my organs. I may be too old, or I'm not in good enough physical condition. But those same people inspire their children, or their grandchildren, or their peers around them. So we'd like to see everybody register to be an organ donor. It would also be terrific if there was a change in the process such that everybody automatically becomes an organ donor and maybe is given the option to opt out instead of opt in. That could help out tremendously. But we do realize there are some maybe religious and other reasons why that might not be easy to do. Although I do understand that perhaps there's at least one province or a few other states in the United States that have done that.
Well, they've been trying to do it in Nova Scotia, and what they're finding, first of all, it hasn't been put in place, although they've decided that that's what they will do. And they're running into a few issues with the logistics of it in certain ways and the understanding. And if you have someone who comes from another country and may not understand that they are automatically in the system as a donor, it can get a little interesting at the end. But we've discussed all that with Ronnie Gavsey, so if anyone wants to hear the details of those kinds of things, you can go to the Freshwaves website, freshwaves.ca. Under the category of organ donation shows, the show with Ronnie Gavsey has a lot of the questions that people would have about organ donation, and they're a very approachable bunch. I don't know if you've dealt with them yet, Anand, but they're just fabulous over there at the Trillium Gift of Life Network. They're so knowledgeable, and it's not one of those things where it takes you 4 days to get through to a human being. They're very approachable.
That has been my experience. We do get some support in materials, things like information sheets, buttons, pins, certain things for our events. And it comes very quickly. They seem to be very well organized, very passionate about what they do, which I think is the key, and very willing to assist.
Well, we've had a couple of requests from them. One of the things that we talked with them about in terms of Jason's situation was to bring awareness to the people of Stouffville that we are on board with organ donation. Statistically, Stouffville is great. We are almost at the national average here in Stouffville, whereas places like Markham are at 17% of the population being organ donors, signed up registered organ donors. In Stouffville, it's 34. And the national average is 35. So it's a wonderful thing to say that Stouffville is doing so well in terms of registration. And we would like to increase that. Of course, everybody is striving for 100%, but that's a little ways off.
I agree.
Places like Muskoka are at 50%.
So is Uxbridge.
Yeah.
Our
Uxbridge
neighbor
is
across
too,
the regional boundary, which I feel would be a great challenge for us to accept and have a friendly challenge with Uxbridge to get that to our 50% level and beyond.
That would be fantastic. Well, there is a York Region event, and we were hoping that this year there would be a Stouffville table at the York Region event. And Jason can hang out his little sign saying, Jason wants a kidney. Jason wants a kidney. Is that your Facebook page, Jay? Tell us about your Facebook page.
Yeah, Jason Rumble needs a kidney. So I've been putting the word out there on social media and putting it out on the local Stouffville groups as well, and of course talking about it on the radio. So you're interested in learning more about how to be a living donor, like we were talking about beadonor.ca after you pass away. But if you're interested in being a living donor, you can, start the conversation with me, or maybe talk to somebody that's donated a kidney. We on the show last week, we had Meg Thomas, who donated a kidney and part of her liver. So I'd suggest when you go to freshwaves.ca, click on the organ donation link there to listen to her story, just to get an idea of what a living donor goes through to donate a kidney.
Yeah, there's all kinds of interesting educational opportunities, I think. And the other thing that we talked about, Anand, which will just put a bug in the ear of your association, is getting a table this year, perhaps at the Markham Fair, if things like the Markham Fair are a thing during the COVID-19 year. But, it would be nice to have a table there at the Markham Fair just to talk to people, like you said, to increase awareness.
I think that would be terrific. Yeah, the situation with COVID is a challenging one, to be sure, but we are well poised to come out of it at the appropriate time and to really help to raise awareness for organ donation, whether it be virtually or in person. So, love to partner with whatever groups are interested in doing that. Jason's been obviously a strong supporter and someone who needs this awareness to be raised. And I think a couple of times, Jason, you and I have spoken, and through your health challenges, we were unable to kind of meet up. But hopefully you're feeling a little better and we can plan for the future.
I am definitely, like, once this COVID thing is over, I mean, well, if we can do something virtually to kind of raise awareness, or, something, in person after COVID's over, I'd definitely be on board to be a part of that.
I think it'll be a wonderful thing once COVID is over, that we have in Stouffville, whether it's the 2021 Strawberry Festival, or whether it's the Markham Fair, which half of Stouffville or 3/4 of Stouffville attends anyway. If we had some of the people who are recipients, people like Eric and people like Robbie and people like you, Jay, because you are actually a recipient as well, and people get to see how wonderful these people are, what a great appreciation for life they have. I mean, it's infectious being around Eric, don't you think, Anand? Okay. So earlier this year, when we were about to start our annual organ donation awareness show, we were questioned by several people as to whether or not this should be talked about during the COVID-19 crisis. So Anand, what do you think about sharing this kind of information during the COVID-19 situation?
Yeah, well, I think there needs to be a bit of a practicality involved as well. I mean, we are struggling through a global pandemic, but we're trying to make the best out of the situation. So I know there is some sensitivity towards, should you wear masks? Should you be outdoors? Should you stay inside? How to deal with all of it. But there's certain things that I feel are safer than others. And the reality is that we will get through this, but we can try and improve the lives of other people as we go through this. And with respect to organ donation, I don't see too many downsides to it. And the shows that you're doing and the raising of the awareness, I don't see that as a significant risk. But I think the benefits far outweigh any small risks that there might be.
Yeah, I think that the risk was that people thought some people might take offense to it. But Ronnie Gavsey in her show made it perfectly clear that anyone who has tested positive for COVID-19 will not be a candidate for organ donation. And she wanted to make that perfectly clear. The other thing she wanted to make perfectly clear to everyone is that it's a misnomer that all transplants have been canceled. All non-urgent transplants have been canceled at the moment during the pandemic, but they will resume soon after the pandemic, and anything that is urgent is still being done. So that was good to know, because I think there's a lot of misinformation around a pandemic incident at all times. Wear a mask, not wear a mask. How long does it last on fabric? How long doesn't it last? There's all kinds of information that we just don't know about, but Ronnie lays it out pretty specifically in her talk. Now, Jason, how do you feel about continuing to ask for a kidney, continuing to advocate for awareness during a pandemic?
Yeah, like I know it's tough because yeah, like you're saying with like I'm on dialysis right now and that's my lifeline to keep me going and you know they put you know kidney transplants on hold. Like if my situation gets worse where the dialysis isn't working, then my I'd probably be bumped up the list to get a kidney. My situation would be more serious, but you know while people are you know isolated in their homes, uh, and the whole testing process, it's a big conversation when it comes to a living donor. So I'm putting it out there to say, you know, do the research while you're, you know, at home, you know, to find out what a living donor goes through, and just do the research. You know, find out about testing if you're interested in going through that sort of thing, and because the testing could take you know several months. It all depends on how many tests you go through. So. Um, yeah, so I think it is important for, you know, people to, you know, think about that and, you know, think about, you know, beadonor.ca as well to go there and register. But yeah, we're, you know, when it comes to urgent transplants, of course, they're going to go ahead of people that need a heart or lungs, but for people that need kidneys and there's a lot of people that need kidneys out there. So I'm sure there'll be a backlog just like there is for other, you know, cancer surgeries and things like that. So when, you know, kidney transplants do resume and stuff like that, there's going to be a backlog. But when it comes to living donation, you can, you know, arrange the surgery at a time that's more convenient for you and the living donor.
Okay. Well, one of the things that we were talking about with Toby Boulay was the fact that there needs to be the kitchen table conversation. And I think at this time of COVID-19, I've got 4 children. 3 of the 4 are back living at home during this social isolation. And it's a good time to have that conversation. You have family and people around now. You are doing these Zoom conversations with people. You have a captive audience. It's a good time to have that conversation. Anand, do you find that you're getting a good response when you guys set up a table at the hockey arena?
Yes, I think we're getting a tremendous response. But as you kind of pointed out, it does take a conversation to happen. So, you know, a lot of the people that we speak to, it's in a very friendly environment. They're allowing us to approach, and they're very open to that. So they're interested in the message. We're not going yet into areas where we don't have a lot of friendly faces. But even those individuals, you know, you can see it working on them, like, you know, thinking about what they're going to do and planning for an unfortunate future, which, you know, frankly, we are all headed towards. It's just how we're going to deal with it is what we're asking people to give some thought to. So having that conversation around the family table, steps before that need to be taken. The individuals who are going to initiate those conversations really have to think about it and come up with a plan on how they're going to speak to their loved ones about their wishes and their future and you know why this may work for them. So it would be disappointing for me to hear that there are individuals who think this is not the right time to talk about it. Perhaps it's always the right time to talk about it. If you look at the courage that was displayed by the unfortunate situation that happened in Humboldt 2 years ago, you know, what a horrible situation, but quite a bit of good and attention came out of that for several families who received donations that saved lives. And, you know, I think that's a good example that we should always be ready to have these difficult conversations at any time.
Yeah, well, they call it the Logan Boulay effect. And even in the first year after the Humboldt crash, after Logan had donated Logan made his wishes known to his parents before his passing, which is so unusual for someone so young. But they knew that that's what he wanted to do. And because of his wishes and his parents meeting those wishes by having his organs donated after he passed, over 200,000 Canadians registered to be organ donors because of Logan, and they call it the Logan Boulay effect. And Toby was telling me that every day he gets an email or a text or a message from someone in Canada who, because of hearing Logan's story, has now signed on as an organ donor. And it's just fabulous that out of such a tragedy, such good has come.
Right. Yeah, and I think, I mean, that's a terrific example. We want to build on that as well because it takes a little bit of momentum. So I really feel that doing a bunch of small changes can really help in totality. So to raise our group is just simply looking to raise awareness from those people who are already fairly aware that organ donation can be a very positive thing, but haven't taken that final step to actually re-register themselves or register themselves for the first time. And we also want to turn that conversation, as you mentioned, Brenda, into a conversation over the dinner table with their loved one, children, grandchildren, who will start to see this as a good thing and something that they would do to help people that they know and that they don't know.
It's a situation where I think you really need to make your wishes known to your family because in the past, when we've spoken with critical care nurse Patty Tamlin from Whistle FM, she says that during the passing of a loved one, it is such a traumatic situation. And there are so many decisions that need to be made. And it's sometimes quite chaotic as you would imagine it would be. But if you already have your wishes known, then it's one less thing for your family to have to worry about. It's one less consideration that has to be managed. If your wishes are very clearly known to your family and you are a registered donor, it makes the whole process that much easier. And like they said, heaven doesn't need your organs, we need them down here.
Absolutely.
All right, well, Anand, we're going to take a little break now. And when we come back, we'd love to talk to you about the food bank. I know that you're quite involved with the Stouffville Food Bank. And I think during this pandemic, food banks have taken a big hit in a lot of ways. And in other ways, I've heard from organizations in Mississauga and up north where they're just getting donations like they have never seen before. And I hope to talk to you about the food bank situation if you've got a few more minutes.
Absolutely, I do, and would love to talk about it.
That's great. We'll take a little break. I'm your host, Bren Masson. This is Freshwaves. We've been talking with Anand Dante and Jason Rumball, our technical producer, about organ donation. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the food bank situation during this COVID-19 pandemic. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.